future. Who's gonna be the next to try? Thinking that you're gonna cut me down to size. Looking when you gotta look into my bye-bye. You ain't even with another line to write. Evacuate my sight. I hold the flame that melts the chain. Oh no, all this hate my name. When I flow, it begins to rain. I have to look into the hearts and minds of those around the world that wanna steal your life with their lies, break your pride, making you a victim for the demo side. Welcome to the game. It's time for the show. Gonna do my thing when I hit the road. Through the darkest nights, I fight these lights I ride to help me through the night. Welcome to the game. It's time for the show. Gonna do my thing when I hit the road. Through the darkest nights, I fight these lights I ride to help me through the night.
My pains. If I never make a move, then the game will never change. It's time to hit the road. From city to city we go. We ready to put on a show and spread our message across the globe. As freedom and liberty slowly erode, this tyranny starting to grow. You can stand up and face it or lie down and take it, but make it your duty to know. Never forget we're the ones in control. You can take what they offer, but me, I want more. Got my eyes on my prize and my sights on my goals. It's time that we rise and take over the throne.
Welcome to the game. It's time for the show. Gonna do my thing when I hit the road. Through the darkest nights, I fight these lights I ride to help me through the night. Welcome to the game. It's time for the show. Gonna do my thing when I hit the road. Through the darkest nights, I fight these lights I ride to help me through the night. To help me through the night. To help me through the night. It's time for the show. Gonna do my thing when I hit the road. Through the darkest nights, I fight these lights I ride to help me through the night.
Now, back to G.I. Joe.
Greetings, I'm Logan, the G.I. Joe Gamer, and on this episode of Joe Takes 27, we're going to be taking a look at Zarana from the Hilt. And this will be our last installment of Ladies Month. We've had Cover Girl, Lady J, and Akiko the last 3 weeks, and tonight we're going to wrap it up with Zarana. I'm going to do things a little different tonight. Normally I look at the figure first, but I've only got the 2 figures of Zarana to look at tonight. So we're going to start with her classified box art because it's pretty cool. She's number 48 in the series. And then I really enjoy this box art. I had it on the thumbnail, and also it's going to be in the video at the end. Really, really, really good box art, I thought. Now, let's take a look at, like I said, I only have 2 of the figures. They made one in the vintage line. They made a few in the early 2000s that were all O-ring. And then they made 2 in the modern line, the 25th anniversary line. But then they made one for the classified now. So I have the vintage figure, and I have the classified. So I have bookends, basically, of the Zarana figures. Now, full disclosure, this isn't my original Zarana figure. I actually had to order her about 3 years ago. My original Zarana figure, I loaned to a friend to help kind of babysit their kid, and I never got it back. So I ended up having to get a new Zarana. Now, I like this figure. Not really hip on the face sculpt for her or her hair, but it was, kind of like Spirit and a couple of the other Joes like that had the really soft plastic for hair. And I love her biker outfit and the pink and everything. It just really fits Zarana. And she had this really cool, I'm not really sure what kind of gun it is with the blade on the end. Then she had this backpack that inspired the classified figure to do something a little more. And I will take a look at that one next. I'm gonna do a side by side comparison here in a second. But here's, oh wait a minute, what's going on here? Oh, I forgot to take that off. What's that doing there? No, I had her up here next to Gung Ho, and I was being naughty, and I made a picture, and so I'll put it up here real quick for you to see. Yeah. Just tell me I'm wrong, but it just seemed to work out really good when I posed it like that. But anyway, I was being naughty. But no, this version of Zarana is really cool. Like I said, it really paid a really good homage to the original Zarana figure, and looks really good. It's got the knife on her side like the original does, and both on the right hand side, and then they had the rip on the pants was only on one side of the original, and they kind of did a little bit on both legs for this one. And the knee pads, they kept those, and the boots with the little spurs, very cool, very, very cool. And then they held true to the weapon too. Only they made it so it's a gun and a little buzzsaw thing, and each one has its own little trigger, which I thought was neat. So yeah, they did a good job. Now the thing that I didn't like about this figure, but I'll get to that in a second. And it's got nothing to do with the way the figure looks, that's for sure. Because there's the problem with the arm that it pops off really easy, and when you pose it, if you're not careful with it, it just comes right off. But the backpacks is what I was going to talk about real quick. Now, see the backpacks. This one right here had this little just thing coming up, and you can't really see on this backpack what that is. And I think it inspired them to go ahead and do this with the backpack, where this is actually a knife that comes out, and it's like a hot knife. It heats it up so it can cut just through just about anything. I thought that was really a neat and very nice touch for this figure. Again, like I said, she has these two different hair pieces, and they did the same thing with Lady J, and I didn't like that on Lady J either. It's kind of nice, and naturally I had to drop it, so I have to breeze down and get it entering this, which of course is normal for a Joe Takes. So let's pop this on her head here, and this actually makes her look more like the original Zarana. I still like the head sculpt way better on the new one. Of course, they have it's bigger. They have better technology. But like I said, they kind of held true to the original Mohawk, sort of Mohawk hairdo that she had. But I really, really prefer the newer hairstyle they gave her, because it kind of made her look like she was in the comics and the cartoon. She was kind of all over the place in the comics, but we'll talk about that here in a minute. Now, this figure sculpt is really good. Like I said, aside from the minor issues with the swapping out the hair pieces, I wish it had just done separate heads. I mean, they've done that with so many other figures. I don't know why that was such a big deal, that they can't just include a separate head with the character. They did that with two of the movie figures, so it can be done. Now, put this hat back on, Gung Ho. Well, I didn't get a chance to watch any of the Sunbow cartoons or any of the Deke series, because she was in the first Deke series where it was Operation Dragonfire, and she kind of was in that just long enough to date Destro, and then the Baroness was like, "You're dumping me for Zarana." It was pretty funny, but then he dumped Zarana in a pit, and she was all laying on a bed eating grapes, and the Destro just pushed a button and she fell into a pit when he was going to go back to the Baroness. And Baroness just forgave him. It was like, yeah, right. That was very unlike the Baroness. to just forgive Destro for something like that. But it was the D series, so whatever. Now I'm pretty sure that's about all she was in. That was has Destro's little side piece. But in the Sunbow cartoon, she came on the second season uh, with the Arise Serpento Arise, a 5-part miniseries, and she had quite a few roles in that, where she was at the beginning, where Sergeant Slaughter, Lowlight, and Beachhead went to run them down. I think it was Beachhead. And run down the Dreadnoks and get some information from them. And she was there, and she burned their letter from Dr. Mindbender. It was kind of cool. There was the Computer Complications episode where she infiltrated Joe headquarters as Sergeant Kara Weebler, or whatever her name was. And she ended up falling for Mainframe, and he fell for her. And it was kind of a little storyline that they continued later on another episode, Gray Hairs and Growing Pains, which I liked. That was a good episode too, where they were taking celebrity figures and and basically taking their youth from them and giving it to other people. And there was a part of that where they shrank down 3 Joes to little kids and 3 Joes to old men, and they had Lady J as a young a little kid and Flint as an adult. And then when they put him back to the right size, Lady J was all like, "Flint, I need some help," because all she was wearing was a top. And so that was kind of funny. But yeah, Zarana was in that, and she helped Mainframe figure out how to turn the Joes back to normal. And that was the way they kind of continued that storyline. But I think the best episode with Zarana was Glamour Girls, where she got hypnotized by the Dreadnoks, and she ended up going to the island where CoverGirl Lady J had been captured, and were hypnotized as well, and we're gonna basically be taken by the madam of the island, who owned the island, and had this formula that could make people young again. So that was kind of a same theme type as Gray Hairs and Growing Pains. But in this, Zartan got mad because Dr. Mindbender thought it was humorous that the Dreadnoks hypnotized Zarana and sent her to the island. And so Zartan went and rescued his sister by letting the Joes out. It was kind of cool. And he knocked out this Viper. He came up and he goes, "Okay, you're relieved." And the Viper, he was dressed as another Viper, and the Viper's all, "What do you mean? I need orders from Cobra Commander and Triplicate." And he just knocks him out. And the Joes are all laughing, going, "Oh, so much for team spirit." And then he takes off his helmet and his Zartan. That was kind of cool. But then Zarana, they almost put her in the they were going to put her in this machine. Ended up not being her. Ended up being some other gal, Lowlight's sister, actually. And that was the one with Superstar Satin. That was Lowlight's sister's friend. And it was definitely not the Satin that was in Pyramid of Darkness, but it was supposed to be the same character. Anyway, the machine ended up actually removing the madam's face. It was, instead of making her young again, because they stopped it before it stole Lowlight's sister's face. And they inadvertently rescued Zarana, who ended up escaping. And of course, they didn't get Zarana prisoner. But in the comic books, she showed up a little early on in 51, I'm pretty sure, was the issue where she first appeared. And or at the end of 50, I think it was 51 though. And she had her and her brother and sister, brothers, decided that they were going to go back and get some more rescue Buzzer, who had been captured by the Joes. He'd already left. It was kind of weird, but Zartan had just been there. I can't remember the reason why they went back in that one, but they ended up having this big old thing where Zarana snuck into Joe headquarters with Xandar, and I'm pretty sure Zartan in a swamp fire. But they put G.I. Joe decals on it, and they thought that would be okay. Anyway, it kind of worked. But my favorite storyline with Zarana was this like 2-part storyline with her and Wild Bill and Crazy Legs and Thrasher. And Maverick was another one that was in this. Maverick, Wild Bill, and Crazy Legs were getting on this plane in this country that was getting overrun by guerrilla forces, and a revolution was taking place. Happened a lot in the G.I. Joe storyline. And in this particular storyline, they ended up working with the Joes to escape, even though they basically showed up and hijacked Wild Bill's plane. Thrasher got his arm broken in that, and she hit him with a wrench and all sorts of stuff. She was not nice to her own dreadnought, but it was a good storyline, and that was a good one for Crazy Legs and Maverick, not to mention Wild Bill, who was in charge, which I thought was interesting, seeing how Maverick outranked him technically. But Wild Bill definitely had seniority. Wild Bill had a tendency to, even in the comics, lead missions sometimes. I guess it was his ship, his plane, and he was in charge. I guess that's the way it worked. But Zarana's a neat character. I like how when Zartan's not around, she just takes over the Dreadnoks. There's no questions asked. She just does it. The Dreadnoks don't even question it. They just follow Zarana probably because they're afraid she's going to kick their butt. But I do like Zarana. She's a neat character. I do like this classified take on her, especially the new hairpiece that they gave her. I mean, like I said, I'd rather it be on a new head sculpt, but that's just how it is. But they did a good job, and her knife actually comes out of the sheath here, which it did on the original, of course. But the classified, they like to add little additions like that, and I appreciate that. Now, as far as for me and my storyline, for Zarana, I like Zarana. She's a cool character, and she's like second in command of the Dreadnoks. This is the way I see it. And I never had Zartan break away from the Dreadnoks like he did in the comics. I always just had the Dreadnoks being they're his group, his motorcycle crew, and when he was away, Zarana was the vice president. That's just how it is. The motorcycle club. Zartan was president. She was the vice president. And now, if I'm looking at it correctly, and this is my opinion, because Xandar was kind of ousted through the whole thing. I don't know why. And in some stories, Xandar and Zarana are twins, and other ones they're not. So it depends on the way you look at it. I don't think it really matters whether they are or not. They're brother and sister. There's Zartan's younger siblings. That's all that really matters. But their sergeant of arms, I think, is actually Torch. But hey, Torch is my favorite Dreadnought. However, Torch is the one who would... Now, Buzzer is the smarter one, so he ended up leading him in the field and stuff. But Torch did a lot of other things. So that's my storyline. So in my storyline, Torch is the number 3, but whatever. Xandar would take charge sometimes. So, depending on your point of view, Xandar could be number 3, but Xandar liked to fade into the background. In the comics, he really liked to fade in the background, and you hardly noticed him. But in the cartoon, he didn't do that so much. He was definitely in third in command of the Dreadnoks in the cartoon. And that's my take on Zarana. I've got some artwork and some file cards for you to look at. I already checked out that pick I took that was not so nice, and I wanted to play a little bit of my nephew's music here as I wrap up. This is Rise to Power by Jay Taro. I'm going to put a card up at the end. He also did the song at the beginning through the night. I hope you enjoyed my take on Zarana. And that'll be it said. Logan out. So let's play this. And that's it for me for the video. Sorry I missed you guys in the chat. Hello, Totemus Toy Shack. I'm about ready to sign off here. I was trying to get this other thing to show up. But good night, everybody. Thanks for being here. And like I said, sorry I missed you guys in the chat. I was so busy doing my thing. I missed you. So thanks for hanging out with me, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Night.